All right. I think we're gonna go. I hope everyone's doing well. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the month, so pat ourselves on the back for that. We're making it through the year, 2025. So welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. Um, for our Crucial Conversations. Every month we try to highlight an organization that's on the front lines doing important work day in and day out for what they do. And this month, we are so honored to have Black Birthing Health Initiative from a part of Homeless Children's Network with us here today. So I want to do a quick background on our speaker, Maya Rodgers, and let her have the floor. Give me one moment here. So Maya Rodgers was born and raised in San Francisco's Bayview Hunters Point. Amazing. With over 20 years of successfully working with diverse, vulnerable populations, Maya holds a master's in social work from San Francisco State University. She is a firm believer in community and collaborative impact. Um, Now, she gave me a short biography to read, but I'm sure she has a lot of experience and history in her daily work, so I'm sure she's just being humble. But without further ado, I would love to pass it over to Maya.
Thanks for having me. Make sure you can hear me on headphones. Sometimes it could be tricky. Uh, I will go ahead and share. Mhm. Oh wait, looks like I don't have. One second. My share permission went away. Oh, there it is. Oh, something happened. I apologize. One second, y'all.
While she's setting up, I do want to talk about a statistic really quick that's really staggering. Um, you know, Black women experience maternal mortality rates 3 to 4 times the rate of white women, is what a recent study has shown. And um, it shows us systemic disparities that we go through. So um, I think it's very important to raise the need for Black Birthing Health Initiative and the work that you all do. And I'll receive.
Thanks so much for that. I apologize, folks. The Black Birthing Health Initiative is a project of the Homeless Children's Network that, along with approximately 30 other initiatives as well under the organization. As an overview, we seek to address critical barriers, mental wellness, resource navigation and access, and the lack of culturally tailored care that Black birthing folks experience. And in that, we address things like bias and healthy relationships, other barriers as well. Recognizing that birthing is a unique position for folks to be in. Our mission is to empower and uplift pre and postnatal birthing folks and their families through the delivery of trauma-informed, culturally responsive mental health support services. And that includes mental wellness tools around self-care and as well as interpersonal relationships. Back to facts. Thanks, Andrea. Black women are 49% more likely to give birth prematurely. Um, Different factors go into that, but also the recognition of those early indicators is missing. And 60% of Black maternal deaths are preventable. Many times it is just the the providers not listening to the clients, and we work to end that racism and bias. We always talk about our vision being like the lack of the need for us. We don't, the day that they don't need our services is is the vision. Okay. And then the solutions, right? We want our clients to be educated about the stages of birthing process, but also their options, right? We want to empower them to be the leader of their care, right? To say when things are not right, and to offer access to doulas and midwifery if that's something that they will be interested in. I mean, we find that oftentimes folks have no idea about doulas. They don't even know how to access doulas or midwives, and their providers are not sharing that information either. And also, we talk about the birth plan, and that includes the postpartum care. Do you want a postpartum doula? Would you need additional support at home? Do you need you have another child that needs support, transportation, those kind of things. And then identifying the support system, which kind of goes into that birth plan. And then the services we offer at Black Birthing Health Initiative are referrals and linkages, and that is the resource navigation piece. Oftentimes, systems can be complicated to manage or navigate, and we help us with that. Emotional support counseling, which is one-on-one emotional support, the psychoeducational groups, which are group setting, which is skill building and coping skills. And then the Black Birthing Village is our culturally tailored childbirth education, which also includes, one of my favorite parts of the Black Birthing Village is the Black Birthing Bill of Rights. And I didn't have it today, but I'm happy to share it out after this if we. And I think Aisha Brooks, our program manager, might be in this call, and she might be able to send it over to me. And then so we can talk more about emotional support counseling, just to be an outlet for folks to talk about it. Oftentimes birthing is someone's first experience with needing some emotional support, or even having what would be considered a mental health issue, right? And through that, there's lots of stigma associated with it, and we really want to fight against that stigma by normalizing the mental health and mental wellness the same way we do physical health and wellness, right? We encourage self-care. We encourage sharing with the safe support system, as well as seeking help. In some cases, folks need a little more intensive care, and we support that as well. And we have a group that is actually started yesterday called Healthy Relationships Matter. And in that, our therapist on site, Dr. Danny, is leading this group, and it goes through the different stages of relationships, as well as healthy attachment styles and communications and boundaries. And Black Birthing Village is our childbirth education, and it is both pre and postnatal. And that is our, for more information, this is our email, and someone can reach out depending on the services, right? Brianna Grogan is our resource and referral specialist who reaches out if folks need connection with services, or, other, like we provide diapers to folks sometime, and we can kind of connect people wherever they need it. Dr. Danny is our therapist, and Aisha is our program manager, and she is a jack of all trades. So lots of experienced folks in this team. Time for questions and answers.
Um, I have a question. Um, what inspired the creation of Black Birthing Health Initiative, and what gaps in care was it designed to address specifically for Black birthing people in San Francisco?
The Black Birthing Health Initiative was the brainchild of our CEO, Dr. Silas, who, over her time at HCN, had seen in her lots of birth stories that had negative impact on the community as well as the individual, and recognized that we were in a position to help. Um, the mental health care, even if the physical is taken care of, if the mental is not, it puts the birthing person in a very precarious position. They are left kind of alone, right? And that can be detrimental to both parent and child. And so all of those associated kind of intersections, work, love life, medical interventions, um, we aim to support the birthing person in that, and in an inclusive way.
And just to clarify, the therapist that is there, um,
Mhm.
are they Monday through Friday? Can anyone go to them? Is there like insurance would I
So currently, we don't require Medi-Cal. So we can provide services as long as people live in San Francisco. That's our one parameter.
Perfect, thank you. I'm seeing in the chat from Tichelle. She
Mhm.
asks, do you have a list of Black doctors and midwives in San Francisco for Black people?
We have a start of a list, but we also have some amazing partners that have been doing this a little longer than we have, that we work with collaboratively. And so we work with Embrace and we work with Kendezi, which also provide services to Black birthing folks. So we work collaboratively with those folks to ensure that can give a breadth of services and resources to folks.
That's so important because you want to have like somebody in the room who understands what you're going through, who understands how you feel in those
Mhm.
moments. Um,
Absolutely.
that's
You
amazing.
know, culture is one of those things that it includes all the things. It includes race and ethnicity and gender, and it also includes upbringing and experience trauma and um, privilege in many cases, San Francisco, right? And so all of those things come into play with culture. And I think it's important that providers both see that, even if they can't live that.
I have a quick one follow-up question to that. So like how
Mhm.
does the Black Birthing Health Initiative like incorporate culturally grounded mental health support into its like birthing and postpartum like process or care, excuse me.
We look at it like a lens. Like if you think about like the lens you look through in a camera, right? All of those things I just mentioned color the situation, right? And so if we begin with culture, then we know in a conversation how to engage, right? We know what will be offensive. We have an idea of what culturally, can be hard, you know and I think that's significant when you are with folks that look like you, right? You feel like even if they haven't lived my life, they they have an idea of what I've been going through, you know around especially, I know we deal with lots of mistrust in systems, right? People that have been mistreated or have experienced bias in healthcare or in any service provision, really, right? Depending on socioeconomic status. So I think all that we take into account when we are meeting with folks, right? Every interaction, every conversation, every meeting, right? It begins with mutual respect and culture.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the chat?
I feel like I was too concise. I should have stretched it out some more and said some more stuff.
No, you're good. I know that I'm sure people have questions. I'm
Can you
just,
ask about the Earth project, IRTH project, where people are telling their birth stories?
Mm.
did you hear that?
I heard some of it about
Okay.
Earth Act.
Yes.
We have not officially started doing that, but we are in conversation with the folks at Earth.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Um,
But I want to add, we do a monthly newsletter in which we include birth stories too. And we use that as an opportunity to highlight joy, you know, the joy of the birthing experience.
would love to have would love to share the newsletter with folks
Yeah,
here. They can sign up.
great.
Anyway. So in a perfect world, like what policies and practices would you like to see changed to better support Black mothers and Black birthing people in San Francisco?
In the perfect world, guaranteed income, right? I think that is the crux of many of the issues that Black families endure or encounter. Even if it's temporary, even a dual income household, when someone has a baby, has a change in income, you know, that can, for most people, you know, a quarter of the people that live in San Francisco live paycheck to paycheck, right? And so when you think about that decrease in $500, you know, is significant in a family. And so a guaranteed income could at least keep people housed, and they could pay for, you know, things they need if their car breaks down, or, you know, think life happens, you know, and guaranteed income is a good way to a good start. I mean, reparations is the ultimate, right? But in a perfect world for families, I think guaranteed income is a great start.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi, Maya. I
hi,
want to
Tisha.
personally thank you for everything. I had two beautiful goddaughters delivered because of your initiative and your cooperation here in Davy Hunters Point. You might know her name's Fortuna Williams. And before you came outside in the pop-up village, she was nervous carrying two babies, first births, and with your initiative, these children are alive, they're healthy, they're happy. She's employed by you. So I'm testifying that this works. And she loves what she does. When we graduated college, she was doing public health. Now she's a lactation coach. Now she's really bringing more healthy babies into this world. And if anybody knows anything about our urban Black scholars, they're born at risk. But you don't look at it like that. You look at it through a whole different lens where you create joy and happiness and nutrients. And so just thank you so much. She's happy, we're happy. And I just wanted to tell you that from my voice so that you know that your work is so important. There's not a lot of Black babies being born. I think that has a lot to do with our R&B singer being locked up.
Uh,
No good music, no baby making. But with your phenomenal flyers, this birthing bill of rights, I'm literally going to print that out and put it here in the SSC because some people don't know that. We could have lost Beyonce because she was having difficulties and complications, and just you having this organization is very, very important, and it's cross cultures. You know, I don't know if it's in Spanish, but I definitely know there's a lot of Spanish speakers here that can utilize these services too. So when you come back to the community, school's about to start, babies are being made in the fall, so maybe we can get like different languages so they can all get their bills of rights. But once again, thank you so much for just doing the work. because there's not a lot of doulas out here. It's not a lot of Black doctors out here, but you give us access.
So that's so beautiful. Um, yeah, definitely impact rippling throughout the community. Would you mind sharing a story that, drives you recently in your work? Um, yeah.
I've heard multiple stories. One that stands out is someone very close to me um, had a baby unexpectedly. And well, I mean, they knew they were pregnant. It's not unexpected, but the went into labor unexpectedly. And if she had not had someone there with her, a support person with her in the ambulance, there's a chance that she had a severe health issue that could have ended her life, you know, and because they were not listening to her when she said, "I don't feel right. Something is going on," right? And they were telling her, "Oh, it's not preeclampsia," right? They were saying, "Oh, your blood pressure isn't high," and so they were dismissing it, but her body was saying something else. Thankfully, the person with her was very experienced and could tell them what to look for. But I mean, how many people have someone very experienced in the medical field that's their support person, you know? And so those kind of things, I just want to empower people that are having babies to know, right? To educate themselves in a way that people they don't feel like the provider is the only expert on their body, right? I think growing up, the doctor's always right, right? And you really don't know other options because they don't tell you other options. And so I think when we provide other options to folks within our own community, we both look out for them and for like the future folks, future babies. So I think it's important that people are empowered to have a voice and to know what they're talking about.
If I can be honest with you. Oh, sorry. I see
Yeah.
Taylor muted herself, so I really heard.
I was gonna say, thank you to Shell for sharing what you needed to take care of yourself in this moment. I just wanted to hop in. I'm sure Andrea has a similar comment, but the idea that if you don't have a family member or a friend or a partner who can step in for you in that moment, you have backup, and also that you have someone or access to someone with credentials who, if you feel like something isn't going well, will raise a stink and raise hell for you. So you don't have to have your partner in the position of like worrying about you, but not that not being their area of expertise and worrying that if they raise something that someone wouldn't listen to them. And I think that's just so empowering to know as someone who wants kids or folks in the audience who've already had kids and are on the fence about having a second, knowing that there's someone who's going to pull up for you and that you have somebody as backup. And I think that's the whole heart of what any sort of Black birthing health initiative is knowing that you have that community and you have backup. I did want to ask because I had the chance to visit your opening of your office for the Black Birthing Health Initiative. You mentioned you serve folks who are pregnant. How far after pregnancy will you serve clients? And then how does that possibly transition to other HCN services for folks whose kiddos get a little bit bigger?
So we serve postpartum to 3 years. So folks that have small ones can access our service through that year, through the third year. And we do internal referrals, but we also do external referrals. And so sometimes folks are kind of ready to be done with us, right? And we try to keep people, that's the linkages piece, right? We try to keep people really connected within the community, right? So if maybe someone has a baby and decides they want to be a doula, or maybe they decide they want to go into some other field, or, I mean, I think we are working on building a pipeline to kind of support our community, if that answered.
Absolutely. I wanted to highlight that through three, because I know a lot of programs are not able to serve families after they hit that 12 or 18 months. And that's not true. You have toddler play spaces in the room.
Mm-hmm.
They can come with you. You don't have
Yeah,
to find an alternative for them. And I know that that's a barrier for a lot of families for accessing support.
yeah, I agree.
I do see a comment in the chat from Foster that says, how do we begin to normalize making providers hear us? How can we begin to build these strengths in our communities to use their voices and make providers listen to our needs? How does BBHI support or educate those who may have experiences in the past?
Um, I think we begin first with building rapport. If folks have had a negative experience in the past, right? We validate it. We know that that happened, right? I mean, I know someone with a client who had a severe pelvic injury from childbirth, right? And it's not a lot of care that you can get after that. And, you know, it kind of has to heal on its own. It's like breaking a toe, right? And that's rough if you have a newborn. So there are, what was the first part of the question? Oh, how do we
How do
get
we
past
begin to
it?
normalize making providers hear us?
Yeah. I think um, one, I think it's twofold, right? I think if you have a provider that is willing to hear you, but doesn't have the experience or the, I think experience probably is the, like if they have the willingness but not the experience, that's different than someone who is dismissive, right? A dismissive provider, you can change your provider, right? You should change your provider. Um, a provider with the willingness but not the experience, you have to continue to advocate for yourself, right? Which can be frustrating, but it shouldn't take a long time if they have the willingness. And you know, I know back to systems navigation, right? It's hard to switch your provider. They make it, I mean, I feel like it's intentionally complicated to do that. But I think you just actively advocate. You can even talk about your distrust or issues before they bring it up. So they are well aware of it, you know, and they know what you expect from them.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions? And in the meantime, if nobody's speaking up, I do just want to say, like, I'm not a mother myself, but I'm putting myself in a position of that experience, you know. Um, I have, had something before. Um, but I could just imagine like going through the process. Like I didn't know what a doula was, or I wouldn't know. And I just found out, through my current work, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know that there's access to these services out there. So feeling alone in the process, um, alone in society, and then alone from a provider, not feeling like you're being heard when you're saying like, I'm in pain, I don't know what this is, not being educated on it, and just not being heard all around, like it can feel very scary, I'm sure. So it's really important and really impactful that you guys are there. And many people need to know that you guys are around for them. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
And it's good to be available. You know, I have my daughter is 16, but when I had her, there were definitely times in that process where, you know, I was lucky to have an OB that was very willing and she has some experience. She was an ally, you know, but when it came to labor, that person is not there. Your OB is not there. There's a whole different person that you're talking to that is telling you, you know, and sometimes it's nurses, sometimes it's another physician, but I have moments of like, no, I'm not doing that. No. you know. And I had taken a childbirth education class before, which had helped me like kind of see the signs of what was going to happen. I ended up having a cesarean. I was in labor for 24 hours and then had to have a cesarean, but I did not feel out of control, you know. And this was pre-birth work. But I had heard all these stories before, even from, we all hear stories from our elders as well, and so all of those things play into um, the experience of, especially when you're sharing experience with folks or talking with folks about their own experience. Just because I didn't have a traumatic experience doesn't mean that I don't understand it, because I definitely understand it.
I have a question, if that's okay. Are you able to hear me? Okay. Okay, so knowing like the historical implications, of course, that go into play on why so many Black women aren't believed when they're experiencing any type of pain, not only just when it comes to having children, but just in general. Do you think that there is a possibility throughout the the health system that those ideologies could be deconstructed, especially when it comes to birthing mothers or birthing people in general? I know it's kind of like a general question, but I'm kind of one of those people that even maybe if it's not even in our lifetime, but eventually I would like to think that, you know, this stuff won't be affecting people anymore. And it's kind of sad seeing that we as Black women also have to like reach out for other resources because we're not given the proper, recognition in a system that's supposed to quote unquote help us. But I'm just wondering, like, do you think that it would be possible that if more like doctors and nurses were willing to kind of not be so racially biased or because of how racist the system already is, that we could possibly deconstruct some of those ideas? Or do you think like we're too far gone and it's kind of too late to do
Uh, um, I think deconstruct is the right word. It's not reform. I think it is deconstruction and then rebuilding. I think the core education of physicians has to change. Um, I I believe that there are times when anyone that's ever worked with me knows always talk about like mutual aid kind of community, just looking out for ourselves. Historically that has benefited Black communities over and over and over again. Um, but I don't think it's too far gone. I think with enough discomfort, change, um, and I'm a believer in the deconstruction of systems that don't serve everyone with equity.
Thank you.
Is there anything that BBHI is doing to combat that on the level?
Um, I think we are intentional about decentering whiteness. And so, and the comparison that comes within, there's a natural competition sometimes between organizations or that kind of thing. And I think that is a colonizer mindset. And so I believe that when we work together, things both serve the community better, but also um, organizations benefit, right? Um, and so by decentering the mindset of competition, I think it's the thing that serves us almost, double.
And then finally, Maya, if I know somebody who's pregnant, if I know someone who has that newborn through that 3-year-old, what is the best way for them to get into contact with you all?
So the best way is our email that's on the screen. Um, but also you can send in a referral to that email. We can make that available to folks, to providers or people. But if they contact us through there, they also can do a self-referral. And they don't have to be struggling. I mean, I think that's a misunderstanding too, is like it we all need a community, if you know someone who is alone or um, just kind of a new parent, even if they already have a child, every child is different, right? And so um, just knowing that we're there and can provide some of that support, I think helps folks, before preemptively before, a crisis happens.
For sure. Thank you so much, Maya. Do we have any other questions? I just want to give that question that out there. Okay. Thank you so much, Maya. I really appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. Thank you all for being here as well. Um, I was I think that you guys have listed your flyers in the chat as well as their newsletter in the chat, referral links,
Perfect.
and all that stuff. Thank you so much, Brianna and Aisha, for doing that. I really appreciate
I was
you
gonna
all.
say thank you, team.
Awesome. You have a great team over there. Um,
Yes, I do.
oh, I have one more question in the chat. Can
Mhm.
BBHI attend scheduled appointments with clients to assist with building that trust while learning how to use their voices? And for those who do not have a support system.
We haven't discussed that part of it, like going attending appointments with folks. Um, but it's something we could consider for sure.
Also, do you provide support to fathers as well?
Yes. We
Awesome.
include all partners in services.
Um, um, sounds good. Any other questions?
Oh, can I add? I just want to add that to that other question. Even if we can't attend, we can give you like a script or any of those things to help support that. So
Thank you. And I noticed a couple of people just entered the chat, so I'm going to leave like one more Q&A round. Does anybody have any other questions for Maya? Okay. Thank you, Maya, so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate you and Black Birthing Health Initiative for all that you guys do in our community. And you're making San Francisco just that much more inclusive, just more supported. So thank you so much for everything. Um, I will send a follow-up email with a recording as well as your newsletter and all the important programs and events that you guys have coming up. But this is the end of the conversation. So thank you all so much. Um,
thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, everyone. And before you guys all go, I do just want to let you know really quick, just because it's kind of like too connected in a way. Tomorrow we do have a tea time series that we are doing with homeless prenatal program. It's every Thursday. It's a support group for self-identified Black mothers with children 0 through 5 to attend. So if you know anybody interested, just let us know. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Maya. We'll talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for joining us.